All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming, and everybody who might be viewing this online. I'm Shelley, the Varshitwadia Amethyst. This is the inside of the Witchy Workshop, and we're getting ready to start a series. The first in a series of explorations of dark goddesses, and the book that I'm using that goes along with this is a Stephanie Woodfield, The Dark Goddess Craft. So I want to reference that. And that's the material I used for that, and I'll let Letitia have it back. So the first dark goddess we're doing is the Morrigan. So with the Morrigan, what we're focusing on is extreme shadow work. We use the dark goddesses to kind of dive down into our darkness and then use that to release what doesn't serve us so that we can emerge anew and more vibrant and then more powerful in our magical works. So the first thing we're going to do, since we're going to be working with Morrigan, is we're going to invite her to come and take this journey with us. So if you want to say it with me, if you can see it. If not, I can move it. Hail, dark goddess Morrigan, goddess of life, goddess of death, goddess of courage, battle, goddess of rebirth, we invite you here and now. Join us, please. Shoulder with us, so we may rise anew. Morrigan, hail and welcome.
Morrigan, hail and welcome.
So, now that we've invited her in to join us here, what I'd like to do is take a few moments, and I have a chant, and I'm probably going to sing the chant. You know, if you eventually get it and you want to sing along too, please feel free. But just really take the time to get yourself grounded and centered and focused on the essences of the Morrigan. Dark Mother, lead me inward, down to start focusing on what kind of habits, what kind of thoughts, what kind of things that we have within ourselves that are impeding the power of our magic. What are the things we need to lose? And I do not own the rights to this song.
Make that one clear.
And so that I don't get it in trouble on the Facebooks or the YubTubs, that was Odoc Mother by Abby Spinner. I do not own the rights to that song. So, since we've taken a few moments, really focused on what we need to release from ourselves, really focused on the Morrigan. Who is the Morrigan? So, take a few moments, write down just any thoughts, let it be free-flowing, any thoughts that come to your mind. What do you know about the Morrigan? And then we're going to have question and answer time.
I'm realizing now how much of that book I did not absorb.
Well, I had to read it more than once.
I'm going to have to go back and, this will be one I'm going to have to go back and read again. Because everything that's coming to my mind is of, was she the one that in stories in a mythology was with King Arthur's court? Or something to do with the king?
Yeah, she did. That's getting a little bit ahead, but we can definitely go there.
I'm just making sure I'm thinking of the right individual.
Mm-hmm. So, the Irish triune goddess. So, the battle crow, she used to, in Irish Celtic mythology, she would change form and become a crow and fly over the battlefield and get all of her favored warriors kind of amped up and ready to go, and she would also grant them protection. She's also known as the White Lady Prophetess, and that's where you're thinking of her as being in court.
Okay.
Because she would go into court and, give prophecy about the outcome of battles.
Okay.
So she had actually told a queen the impending death of her king in the one story. And then the washer at the ford. So the washerwoman at the ford, that's who we're going to be working with. And her imagery is more haggard. She's in the Red River, normally washing the clothes and the armor, the blood off of the clothes and the armor of the fallen. But you can also work with her in this way to tear off, literally, she's got like claws and she's just literally shredding
off of
what does not serve you. In a very loving way. It's not, just as we would prune a tree to get it to produce better the upcoming year. So she's basically doing the same thing. And it's a hard and painful process. And so before you start working with her, you need to be certain. Because if you enter into this contract with her, she is not going to let it go. Once you start that ball rolling, it's her essence and personality to see it through, whether you come kicking or screaming, or whether you walk through it, willingly. So I always like to say, that's why a lot of people say they're shocked that I work with dark goddesses, or, oh, dark goddesses, that's a really scary thing. I said, well, you just got to be sure of yourself and sure of your purpose before you get started. So, because she is going to see it through. Be honest. Once you enter into this, be brutally honest. You really have to bear yourself. She's going to find it anyway. So it will be a less painful process if you're just honest. I know I have so many things that I teach that I don't do. And so I'm definitely one, I worry, I borrow trouble. I'm not, sending that vibration out positively. And then once you've been honest and you know what needs to go, release it, what does not serve you, because she's going to strip it away. And just like it's infected, it's got to go anyway. So that is the washerwoman at the Ford. Okay, so you've decided to do this. How do we do this? Respectfully. That's the first thing I always tell people. They're like, well, what if you were going to work with Hecate, or, any of the, even Lilith and Hel or Loki? And say, well, these are, not your rainbow and sunshine normal goddesses. So you've got to be very respectful about it. Create an altar for the Morrigan. Research yourself, find things that are related to her, and then out of those things that are related to her, what if those things really call to you? Because that's where you'll be able to connect. So, and give offerings. That's one of the things, when we work with gods and goddesses, it's a symbiotic relationship. It's a give and take. So
it's not an actual worship. It's you're working together.
Right, exactly. And it's kind of, I always got to pull out Janet Jackson and date myself. But it's like, what have you done for me lately? Yeah, what have you done for me? First off, within yourself, are you showing me any strength? Especially with Morrigan being such a warrior's goddess. She's going to be looking for bravery and, what have you done within yourself and for yourself to bring this to fruition before you show up here? So, don't come here and you haven't done anything. So, create an altar. Black feathers are very, very much related to her. That's what I use to connect with her. But, personally, you're going to want to do your own research and find the things that connect to you. And you got to be respectful. She's very powerful and determined. So, offerings. Raw red meat is, when I researched it, was one of the biggest things that came up. Red wine, things that look like blood. If you didn't want to do wine, you could do Kool-Aid or cranberry juice.
Something similar.
Mm-hmm. Black feathers, and then your self essence. You need to bring yourself. As if you're calling to her to bring her essence to work with you, you've got to be willing to offer your own. Again, it's that symbiotic reciprocation of energy. The gods and goddesses are looking for that energy because that vibrates with them. And then this is an offering invitation. I think I wrote it in the notes as well so that you have it with you.
Yes.
But it's Great Morrigan, Battle Crow Prophetess, Washerwoman at the Ford. I offer first the essence of myself. And then I offer, whatever you had brought, the red mead or the wine, the black feathers, whatever resonates with you. And then I offer blank for, and then you want to be specific with those things that you need to release. For the release of not having muchness. I think that's one of the things I struggle with the most is, I have all this muchness that I can speak to other people, but then when the fit hits the shan in my own life, I have no muchness. And poor Leon can attest to that because it's all, and I've got to learn to respond stronger immediately, not after the whiny moments. Some other things you can do, you have your altar, you've made your offering, you can do ritual bathing, shameless plug, I have Morrigan soap. There's your shameless plug. But when you're using those herbs and oils that relate to her, you want to use your imagination. You want to imagine, her as you're soaping and rinsing, just again with those long washerwoman claws, just taking all that is not serving us. So you want to imagine that, you want to visualize those things. Then, if you're showering, it's going down the drain. When you finish your bath, drain the bathtub, it's going down the drain so that it's now gone. It's no longer part of you. And then, when you're doing the offering, the ritual bathing, anything you do with a goddess, especially the Morrigan, then you want to offer gratitude at the end. That she partnered with you and she did this thing for you. And you've got to visualize it as being done. So, I don't have this anymore. It's gone. Another ritual release. This is actually like a release spell for Morrigan. So it'd be a cup of red wine, different pieces of paper, and you can have like one piece of paper and write the different things and then rip it. Because we're going with that visualization of those claws. Just ripping off those things that don't serve us. So you can rip those pieces of paper. Then you put the pieces of paper in the red wine, because they're gone. They're in there, and I always think it's real important how you dispose of your spell and ritual elements. So you could, if you have a river that is flowing away from your home, when you're all done, you could dump all that in the river so it's going away, and then just be sure you're walking the opposite direction that the river's flowing. You could just pour it out in the wind if we had a windy day, and just pour it out and let the wind just take it, just like her feathers would carry it then. And then that would kind of finalize the spell. And then remember to offer thanks. Always offering thanks. And that's all I have. Questions?
Don't necessarily have questions, but
Observations are welcome
yes,
too.
observations. So